I call this meeting to order at 6 p.m. Please stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Hi, my name is Elizabeth Marshall. I'm an 11th grader at 29 Palms High School, and I'm also the cross-country team captain. While I do have another year of high school to go, after high school I would like to go to the University of Montana to become a pharmacist, while also maintaining a position on their D1 cross-country team. I don't have much interest in becoming a politician myself or being directly involved in government, but I would like to understand how large and local governments operate, especially the government within my own community. So this week at school is our Spirit Week. We went with a 70s disco theme. We have a lot of fun colors and fun outfits. For sports this week, football is currently 0-3. We have a home game this week against Cat City on Friday. JV is at 4 p.m. and varsity is at 7. Volleyball is 3-2. They played yesterday here in 29 against Coachella Valley. The Lady Cats played very hard, but unfortunately did not win. They play against Desert Mirage tomorrow and Yucca Valley on Monday. Tennis is 3-1. Today's game was canceled, but tomorrow they play Desert Mirage for a league meet. And cross country is going to the Woodbridge Cross Country Classic on Thursday to start off the season. And plans are currently being made for our first homecoming since COVID. Thank you.
On behalf of the city, we would like to thank you, Elizabeth, for coming and opening our meeting and leading us in the pledge. And who knows, maybe you may change your mind about politics. I didn't think I would be here. Okay, so here you go. Thank you so much. And now we have our invocation, Pastor Mike Maddie from Shadow Mountain Community Church.
I'd like to thank you for having me, council, ladies and gentlemen. It's good to be here this evening. I'm going to give the invocation from Romans 13, and this is a paraphrase. Every person must submit to and support the authorities over him, for there can be no authority in the universe except by God's appointment, which means that every authority that exists has been instituted by God. Those in authority are God's servants for the good of society. If we break the law, we have reason to be alarmed, for these are God's agents of punishment to bring criminals to justice. Why do you think they carry weapons? We are compelled to obey them and not just avoid punishment, but because we want to live with a clean conscience. All the law can be summed up in this way. Love and value others the same way you love and value yourself. Love makes it impossible to harm other people, so love fulfills all that the law requires. I thank you, our Heavenly Father, for our servants of 29 Palms. I pray your wisdom, your conviction, and that your love would guide them as they guide us. Protect our citizens, provide for the needs of those who have less, and may you be glorified in this meeting tonight. In Jesus' name, amen. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Roll call.
Councilmember Mintz,
Here.
Councilmember Klink,
Here.
Councilmember Bildering,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Wright,
Here.
Mayor Ogilvy.
Here.
All present.
All righty. Announcement. These proceedings may be viewed on demand of the City of 29 Palms website at www.29palms.org. You may also live stream this meeting by going to our website and clicking on the meeting agendas link. And so we're gonna have the Morongo Basin Healthcare District. Morongo Basin Healthcare District.
Good evening. My name is Marge Doyle, and thank you. I hope I know how to use this. And I'm an RN with the Morongo Basin Community Health Center and the Morongo Basin Healthcare District. Now, a lot of folks get a little confused about who we are, so this is just a little education. You guys probably already know, but in July 2015, the district owned the hospital, but leased it to Tenant Healthcare, and they are now responsible for the hospital's function. Our mission is to improve the health and wellness of the communities we serve, and 29 Palms is one of those. And our vision is a healthy Morongo Basin. There we go. Our services in 29, we have 2 locations right now. Primary care, pediatrics, dental, chiropractic, laboratory services, the lift transport, which takes folks all over the district as well as down the hill to specialty services, and our outreach and insurance assistance. So that's our thing. But why I'm here today is that we are part of ending the HIV epidemic. And that's a federal program through the CDC. We currently have a grant which was funded by HRSA, and so no taxpayer money locally was spent on this. But the goal is to end HIV. We have, over the course of the last couple years with COVID, lost some ground, and we're attempting to regain it. So this is brought to you by Morongo Basin Healthcare, and we provide outreach and HIV prevention education, routine HIV testing, and promote awareness of the use of both PrEP and PEP, and you'll be learning more about that in case you don't know what that is. Why we're here. We want to routinize HIV testing. Everyone from age 13 to 65 should know your status. And just like you get a CBC or a complete blood count when you go to the doctor, you should be tested for HIV and know what you have. So the federal program wants us to have knowledge, increase percentage of people who have knowledge of their status to 95%, and we've got just 3 more years to get that done. Reduce the incidence of new infection by 75%, and suppress the virus in folks that may have HIV to 95% by 2025. Those are the goals of that. So why is this important? 1 in 7 people who have HIV in this country don't know they have it. And though that 1 in 7 infects 3 in 10 new infections. So if you don't know you have it, you can't be careful and cautious. You can't take preventative measures, and you spread it more and more. So 1 times 3 gains infections. 1 to 1 stays the same. 1 and less than 1 would see us in a downward curve. What'd I do? Oh, there we go. The goal is to diagnose HIV quickly and link people to treatment immediately. And that's the HIV goal for CDC. So let's start at the basics. What is a virus? Okay, a virus is a very tiny particle, smaller than a bacteria, that basically is a little syringe with genetic material in it. And that genetic material gets injected into the target cell, whatever the target cell is. So a cold virus targets your nose, your nasal pharyngeal mucosa, right? You feel miserable, you're all stuffy. That's a cold virus. HIV virus targets the T cells in your immune system, and T cells are part of your ability to launch an immune response to an invasion. Okay. Oops, I think I went the wrong way. There we go. HIV is an infection with the HIV virus, okay? There is no cure, but it's both preventable and treatable. And that's the takeaway message for today. It's a virus that attacks those T cells and prevents us from, let me backtrack. When the virus gets into the cell, basically it sets up a little virus-making factory. And in the process of that, it kills the cell, which is why T cells go from a normal of 500 to 1500 down to 200. And when it gets down to 200, you're much more susceptible to infection, and you can be diagnosed with AIDS. Being infected with HIV is not the same as having AIDS, okay? There we go. Infections by age group. The largest group of newly diagnosed infected folks are from 25 to 34. However, since symptoms don't occur for 10 years, up to 10 years, often these folks are infected in the next largest group, which is our teenagers, or 13 to 24. That's why we want our young people to be tested, even if it's just to get a baseline. But we know they're out there doing things that we don't necessarily want them to do, but they're doing it anyway. So it's very important that we get those two things, target those two areas. The other thing is HIV turned 40 last year. And so with that, many, many more of the folks who got it back in the 80s, this is no longer your grandfather's HIV, are now in that older category and are entering nursing homes, et cetera, and causing concern and consternation. Okay, HIV also is disproportionately represented among people of color, specifically African American and Latinx folk. So it's important to know that. Even among gay and bisexual men, there still is a disproportionate number in African American and Latinx. Infections in women are increasing, and women are particularly vulnerable. 84% of women with infections have gotten that through heterosexual contact, not anything else. So women are at risk. So let's go to fact versus myth. And counsel, you can respond if you'd like. I can get HIV IV by being around people who are HIV positive. Is that true or false? Okay, Mayor Ogilvy, you're on spot. How about I would be able to tell if my partner was HIV positive?
No.
No.
False.
You can't just look at someone and say, oh, you're HIV positive. There's no external signs, okay? I can get HIV from oral sex. That is correct, although it is in decreasing, decreased from sex that is either vaginal or anal. And I can get HIV from mosquitoes. That's kind of a tricky one, even though there's blood involved. You can't because there's such a tiny amount of virus, okay? All right. We know historically what we said is have protected sex, have fewer sexual partners, never share needles, and get tested regularly. However, condoms are only partially effective. If they're used perfectly, they could be 98% effective, but they're not. They're not used consistently or correctly. So 82% is the reality. So if we only give folks that as an alternative, they are 18% likely to get HIV if they're engaging in behaviors that can expose them. HIV is transmitted by unprotected sex, sharing drug paraphernalia, no longer blood transfusions because they're all checked, so you're safe to get a blood transfusion, and pregnancy. Women can transmit this to their unborn children. What fluids can transmit HIV? Blood, vaginal fluids, semen, and breast milk. What can't? Sweat, tears, saliva, intact skin. And that means if somebody's crying, you can hold them. If somebody's sweating, you can touch them without fear. If somebody spits at you, hopefully they're not doing that to the council, but you're not at risk. Okay, and I mentioned this earlier, but symptoms vary, can take more up to 10 years, and mostly it's flu-like symptoms early on, and you might just not even have anything. So this is a concept, the window period, which is important. The period of time between the time you've been exposed to HIV and the time that your test might turn positive is 3 months. However, you're immediately contagious. And that goes back to that 1 in 7 and 3 in 10 that I referred to earlier. So this window period is really important. People aren't out there trying to get other people sick. They may not know themselves. Okay, there we go. The good news is we've had major advances in the last 40 years in both prevention and treatment. So let's talk about prevention. First of all, prevention of transmission. If you are engaged in things that may put you at risk, you can go on pre-exposure prophylaxis, also known as PrEP, and that is 99% effective in keeping you from converting to HIV positive, okay? If you're not on PrEP, but you had an occurrence where you were exposed, you can go on PEP, or post-exposure prophylaxis. And as long as you start it within 72 hours, it's a 28-day treatment. This is also extremely effective at mitigating transmission. So those two things are important. Also, we have effective treatment, and I'll get to that. You should consider PrEP if you're having being sexual with someone who has HIV, have had an STD in the last 6 months, if your partner injects drugs, if you have used PEP more than once, because that's just an emergency. It's not for chronic use. Okay, this is the test we are giving away free to our community members. Anybody that wants one can get one. It is 99.9% accurate for most things, and you can have the results within 20 minutes. If you're negative, that's 99% accurate. If you're positive, it's 91.7% accurate, and you will need additional testing to make sure that you are actually positive. Okay, HIV treatment. The treatment is extraordinarily effective to the point that it protects you and it protects any potential partner. Because what it does is it lowers the viral load in your blood, and it can lower it to 0. And if you're at 0, you can't transmit the disease. So very important to know your status, very important to get treated, very important if you're negative and you're engaged in behavior that puts you at risk, that you get on medication, and that's what we're here for. Okay, newly diagnosed, start treatment immediately, okay? Because all of those things that we saw back in the 80s really have been mitigated. I don't know about you, but I had probably 30 people in my life who died as a result of this disease. If you're undetectable, you're also untransmittable. That's a good takeaway too. And the goal is to get your blood to 0. So what should I do? Get tested. And I have tests tonight. If you're interested in them, I just need a little paper filled out. We keep the demographics for the granting agency. And I'm sure you guys know about grants and how that works. And this is one of our banners. We have 2, right, Joe? In the area. This is one of them, and this is this has been in the paper as well. So we have that phone number that you can call to get a free test. Questions? Anything I can provide to you?
I have a question. So if they don't pick up a kit today, they can call that number?
Absolutely.
Okay, and is there somewhere here in 29 Palms that they can get a kit from?
You know, for you, Madam Mayor, I would deliver.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions from the council?
I do, but it has nothing to do with HIV.
Okay.
Healthcare services provided by Morongo Basin Community Health Center. You have a center here in 29 Palms. Is that
we do.
considered an urgent care?
No. Our centers do take walk-in visits, but they're not considered urgent cares, and we are working towards having later hours so that we can service the needs of the community. We are actually precluded by contract with Tenet from opening urgent cares in ER because it competes with them. So
when they were coming to 29 Palms and Yucca, when we were voting on all this, it was brought to my attention that, yes, 29 Palms does need an urgent care, and Tenet will bring you an urgent care.
Tenet?
Yes. Can you answer why, or can you find out why?
I can't speak for Tenet. I can only speak for the district.
This was in Joshua Tree and a guy by the name of Joe. It wasn't that Joe, but it was a tenant, someone from Tenant
Yeah.
that said that.
I'm, happy to carry that question back to Karen Fallis, who's the CEO at the hospital, and see where they're at with that. But
Okay.
we do provide services where you can walk in if you have a problem. So it's not called an urgent care, but
Right.
it's as good as one while we're open. We
Yeah.
want to be open later.
Just know I'm not getting on your case. It's
No,
just that
no, I
we
completely
here in Twine
understand.
Palms are at the end of the rope here.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of elderly that if they're sick, they could very easily go to an urgent care here instead of having to travel all the way to the hospital to
Right.
an emergency.
Right.
Or Yucca Valley to urgent care, which is 40 miles round trip. And that's a long ways for us to go.
Yeah, I absolutely understand and empathize with the problems of geography and services, and this is one of the reasons why we have that availability for walk-ins in 29. And that goes for all the services, pediatrics and adult services. Not sure about chiropractic, but you can
So the
correct
best thing
me if
to
I'm
do,
wrong.
best thing to do then is call Karen and see if we can set an appointment to talk to her about it. Or if
Sure,
she doesn't,
yeah.
that she kinda-
Or Frank can do it. I don't have any different relationship to Karen Fallis than you do. The district is actually only the landlord to tenant, so we don't have a lot of power to tell them what to do. What we have is, a relatively cordial relationship. While they're servicing on acute care basis, we're servicing on, clinic-based care bases. So,
Okay. Frank said that he'll call her, and he's going to call Karen and set up an appointment.
okay.
And I'll go
that-
with them.
Yeah. I won't warn her.
We sure could use it. Go ahead.
Any other questions from the council? Any questions from the audience? Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank
I
you.
really appreciate your time and attention to this important matter.
Okay. And we appreciate what you guys do for us.
All right.
Thank you.
And
Okay. So now we're gonna go to, sorry. So now we're going to go to declaring September 2022 Hunger Action Month. And I will be reading proclamation and handing out a certificate. So I guess I should probably go down there, let's see.
so proud.
I don't bite, it's not my biting season. I'll let you know.
Thank you so
when
much
it is.
for the orange for your action. I love it.
Okay. Resolution of the city of 29 Palms, California, directing city staff to terminate the parking, I'm sorry, wrong resolution. Okay. Here we go, right. Hunger Action Month. Whereas hunger and poverty are issues of vital concern in California, where 20% of people face hunger and 1 in every 4 children do not know where their next meal will come from. And whereas the city of 29 Palms is committed to taking steps to combat hunger in every part of our community and to provide additional resources for those in 29 Palms in need. And whereas the city of 29 Palms is committed to working with Find Food Bank, a member of the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks, in educating people about the role and the importance of food banks in addressing hunger and raising awareness of the need to devote more resources and attention to the hunger issue. And whereas more than 150,000 people on average in the desert region rely on food provided by members of the Fine Food Bank each month, whereas the members of Fine Food Bank distribute more than 22 million meals in through the network of food pantries, soup kitchens, shelters, and other community organizations, whereas the month of September has been designated as Hunger Action Month in order to bring attention to food insecurities in our communities and to enlist the public in the fight to end hunger by taking action, including volunteer shifts, social media shares, donations, to ensure that nobody has to make the impossible choice between food and other necessities like medicine, utilities, and child care. And whereas food banks across the country, including the members of Fine Food Bank, will host numerous events throughout the month of September to bring awareness and help to end hunger in our local communities. Now, therefore, I, Carmelette O'Gilvy, on the behalf of the City Council of 29 Palms, California, do hereby recognize September 2020 as Hunger Action Month in our city of 29 Palms, California. I call this observation to the attention of our citizens and is dated the 13th of September and signed by the mayor. And I'll present this to you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you guys for what you do. And thank you. Thank you. And I'll let you go ahead and.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Joe. Yes, thank you.
And also, and then I'll let you speak. The city is participating in, we have an orange box and we tried to wear orange. Yes, and we're taking donations from the community and we will get any donations we receive to food or or whoever you designate us to do that. And hopefully we'll continue this every year. We'll have a food drive because it is a necessity.
Oh my gosh, yes. Please.
Want to say something?
Yes, shout out to the Morongo Basin Healthcare District where we have our warehouse and distribution center here. We partnered with them because the connection between hunger and health is undeniable, and they have been so helpful to, spread our services here. So the people of 29 Palms, the pantries here, and the Morongo Basin in general don't have to travel all the way down to the Coachella Valley where we have all the resources of the food bank, which we have a 38,000 square foot warehouse. We're feeding, before the pandemic, we were distributing about 12 million pounds of food annually, and consistently every year since then, we've distributed over 20 million pounds of food. Visiting we have our mobile market here at the Copper Mountain College, halfway distance. We moved it from Joshua Tree Elementary, and just speaking, I've, go and I volunteer there, and just speaking to the residents, it's seniors on a limited income, just talking about the seniors up here, and it's people who are working but having trouble making ends meet, who receive so much help just by being able to budget food out of their budget, get help that way in order to afford their medicine, in order to save that trip to the grocery store that might be farther than our mobile market. It's those things, that's what Fine Food Bank wants to be here for, to help save, like it said in the proclamation, not make that impossible choice between the necessities of life. So thank you very much for recognizing Hunger Action Month and Fine Food Bank and all of our partners here in the high desert that make all this work possible. Thank
And
you.
we appreciate all that you guys do. Thank you.
Thank you.
I got a question. I got a question.
Please.
Yeah. How many food banks in 29 Palms you guys support?
Yes, so we are the regional food bank for Southern San Bernardino County and Eastern Riverside. So we're technically the only food bank, but we serve food pantries and soup kitchens, and we have about 7 partners up here. So the Waive Station, we help them out. We have a couple of, the Calvary Fellowship Church. We have another Calvary Church. I haven't been to those personally, but I know that they'll pick up from Morongo Basin, where we have that food there for pickup. And we do deliveries every so often with our truck.
And how does a food bank get in touch with you guys?
Yes, so we have a phone number and we have a website. And so we have an agency partnership specialist who will be able to connect you and make sure and vet you, and you can apply to become part of our network. So they can reach out and call us at 760-775-3663. Or they can email us as well at info@findfoodbank.org, and we'll get them in touch with the right person and hopefully bring them on board.
And something else I need to add was, 29 Palms has several agencies and organizations that help to feed those that are having food insecurities. And let's see, that is the 29 Palms Food Agencies, Reach Out Morongo Basin, that's for seniors, the Sanctuary Church, Palm Baptist, 29 Palms Food Pantry, Morongo Unified School Sites, the ASYMCA, and 29 Palms Wildcat Interact Club under the direction of Lori Cosgriff. Okay. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you for the support. I'd love to get a photo of everybody with the orange.
Okay, want us all down there?
We have some fun signs too. We're getting it with all of our cities across. Yucca Valley joined in too, so thank you.
You have orange.
Advocate, volunteer. Here, get in there with the Find Food Bank. Yeah, get in here. This is our high desert representative. It's okay, I'll get
I
one with a
see
nice
you
camera
around the
on that
district.
end.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see. That's okay. I'll do that after. I'll get a little. Thank you, everybody. Oh, yeah. So, yeah, you want. Thank you, everyone, for indulging us. Oh, I do. We'll hang around and we'll get some videos.
Now, let's see.
Madam Mayor, if I may just add,
Yes.
Find Food Bank, great partner to the Morongo Basin as the council is starting to understand 1383. One of the pieces is edible food waste diversion, and they're going to be a great partner to be able to connect the restaurants, let's say, Stater Brothers and et cetera, that have that food waste that otherwise can be diverted and transported to the food banks and food pantries. So,
Okay, thank you. Thank you, thank you. All right, now, I'm done with my proclamation. Okay, all righty, now we're gonna move to council's comments and reports of meetings attended. We'll start to my left.
Okay, thank you, Madam Mayor. I attended the City League of Cities, Cal Cities Conference in Long Beach the last couple days. Got to see a couple of inspirational speakers. One was Lisa Ellis. She's the winningest soccer coach. She had won the two USA Soccer World Cups twice in a row. Very inspirational speaker. She had some really good things to say, and she said, no matter what happens, she'd tell her team, no matter what happens, always keep your chin up because it's always going to get better. So it was very nice to listen to her for her talk. I also went to the first night of the theater with the when they talked about all the schedule for it was the first time I actually went to one of those. It was kind of interesting listening to all the folks that talk about all their plays. They're very, very enthusiastic. It looks like it's going to be a good program throughout the year at the theater. So. And that was all. Thank you.
My turn? Thank you, Madam Mayor. First of all, I would like to wish everybody in 29 Palms and the Morongo Basin that is celebrating a birthday in the month of September have a happy birthday. You're the month that is going to bring us cooler weather. I know you are. I know you are. I have faith in you. I also went to the conference in Long Beach, and of course, a lot of it had to do with homelessness and housing shortage that we have in the state of California. Homelessness also would be included with the food hunger. We know that a lot of them are hungry, so it's good to work together with them to help them out as well. And we have to figure something out for the homeless here in the high desert, 29 Palms, everything. And I am also now on the Strategic Planning Ad Hoc Committee for the San Bernardino County Transit Authority. We will be recommending to the board on different road improvements and bridges that have to be made and all sorts. And it's just not in 20 Palms, it's the whole county of San Bernardino. And one bridge that we have here that we need is the Split Rock Bridge. So with me on the board, I'm going to be pushing for that because that's one of our ways of getting out of town or out of the city if there was a flood. That flood channel would have a bridge to get over, or them coming this way on the other side of the channel. And I think that's it for now.
Thank you. I didn't have the pleasure to hang out with you guys in Long Beach. I was stuck in classes, but for September, I want to give my son a happy birthday. He's 22, so that makes me even older. And that's all I got.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yeah, I didn't get to go to Long Beach either. Get all that good food, but anyway. And I didn't attend any meetings. So. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank
But you celebrate your anniversary?
Yes, celebrated my anniversary, 37 years.
Happy anniversary.
Thank you.
Okay, before I start with what meetings I attended, I just want to say, I want to touch on a few items. As we sit before you as elected city officials, I feel it necessary to point out that you have a very diverse city council. Our diversity is celebrated in our actions and business that we conduct on behalf of the city of 29 Palms and her residents. Because of various ethnic backgrounds of council members, it allows for sensitivity and diversity on all levels. The next item is related to council members' monthly stipends. This has been a point of discussion in some sectors. The council members are paid by the city approximately $456 a month. It is said that the town of Yucca Valley pays its council members $1,000 a month. That is not factual. Yucca Valley did increase their council members' pay to approximately $550 a month. This stipend will come into effect January of 2023. So this is a $94 difference in the two city councils. What would we look like as a council if we chose to double our stipends? This would not be good nor wise fiscal management. Our desire as elected officials are not to collect hefty stipends while struggling to balance a fluctuating city budget. We are dedicated to the city's physical well-being. And then finally, I'm a proud resident of our wonderful city. My children graduated from the high school over 20 years ago, and now I have a grandson who attends the high school. I could not be any more prouder of Mr. Ruggiero and all the staff at the high school. I am so proud of the students and all their achievements. What better ways to showcase their achievements than to have them participate in civic government? They are our future. I requested of Mr. Ruggiero last school year to select students for every council meeting who would open the council meeting and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. They also would be given the opportunity to inform the city council of their achievements, aspirations, and goals for the future. I believe this is one way to have early involvement for our high schoolers in city council meetings. So thank you. Now we'll go on to say what I did as far as meetings I attended. I too attended the California League of Cities in Long Beach along with my fellow council members. Got an opportunity to hear some really dynamic speakers and different views, and also to network and look at different vendors as well. So it was very informative always, and hopefully we'll come back with some ideas that we could possibly do in our city as well. All righty. Now, on to the consent calendar. All matters listed under the consent calendar are to be considered routine by the city council and will be enacted on by one motion in the form listed. Any item may be removed from the consent calendar and considered separately by the city council. The public will be given an opportunity to comment on consent calendar items prior to the city council action. Okay. Is there anyone from the council who would like to pull any items from the consent calendar? Anyone from the audience would like to pull anything from the consent calendar? Okay, then I'm looking for a motion.
I'll make a motion, we move this consent calendar.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Buildering,
Aye.
Councilmember Klink,
Aye.
Councilmember Mintz,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Wright,
Aye.
Mayor Ogilvy.
Aye.
Approved 5-0.
Okay. So, public hearing, none, and discussion and potential action items.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the council. The item in front of you this evening, recommendation from staff is to appoint 2 members, Valerie Mead and Anna Stump, to the Public Arts Advisory Committee, or PAAC. The PAAC, just by way of background, has seven voting members and follows the rules of the Brown Act. And currently there are 2 vacancies, there were, I guess, 2 vacancies on the committee created by the departures of Chanel Rodriguez and Wayne Winnicky. And the city advertised for 2 members to the committee, and we received 2 applications, very well qualified applications, as mentioned, Valerie Mead and Anna Stump. The applications are attached to the staff report, and both individuals, I think, I see Anna, Valerie, okay, so both applicants are here this evening, and if you would like to say anything to the council on your appointment, or if the council would like to ask any questions, they're here for this evening. So turn it back over to you, Madam Mayor.
Okay. Are there any questions from the council? Any questions from the audience? All righty.
I think Pat wants to talk. Pat always likes to talk to us.
I would like to say welcome. I'm the chair of the PAC, so I just glad to welcome you all.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, I would make a motion that we accept the 2 appointed new members, Valerie Mead and Anna Stump, to the Public Arts Advisory Committee.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Mintz,
Aye.
Councilmember Buildering,
Aye.
Councilmember Klink,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Wright,
Aye.
Mayor Ogilvy.
Aye.
Approved 5-0.
All right. Next, termination of parking agreement.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the council. Staff recommendation is the city council to direct staff and legal counsel to terminate the parking agreement with Bistro 29. Just by way of some background, in 2009, the city entered into a parking agreement with Bistro 29, which authorized access to use certain real property owned by the city. Further background to that, at that time, there was a policy within the development code that commercial properties had to have on-site parking within the properties. Because of a lot of properties in our downtown area, just by the nature of the configuration, didn't have any room for parking, they had to have parking agreements. So at that time, then city manager Michael Tree entered into a parking agreement with Bistro 29. The impetus of this agreement is once we sold the property to the hotel, and reviewing their title report had this parking agreement attached to it. It was a city-owned property that we put that restriction on there for parking. Also in the investigation, we saw there's actually 12 others that are out there. So this is the first action that we'll be taking, but there will be other actions out there. With the development now of Project Phoenix, parking is there. Prior it was not, so we do have public parking there. A couple things, and you have a resolution in front of you. It's as amended. Within the staff report, there was 2 items that legal thought we should add to that, so the last 2 whereases, and I'll just read them. The downtown specific plan provides for parking spaces in the downtown traditional zone, and that's the new downtown specific plan. And as a result, there is no longer a need for each individual business located in the DTZ, which is the downtown traditional zone, to provide its own parking spaces. Again, the old policy was you had to have on-site parking. The new policy says you don't have to have on-site parking. The parking, and then the second whereas, the parking agreement expressively states that if the city amends its development code, which we did, or other parking regulations such that some or all of the parking provided pursuant to the parking agreement is no longer required, the parking agreement can be modified or terminated by resolution, which is what's in front of you this evening. So that concludes my staff report, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions from the council? Okay. Any questions from the public?
Eileen Leslie. I have gotten no notice of this. And so as the owner of Bistro 29, I should probably have my counsel review this. Just seems like I should. So I would request that I get a copy of what he just read so I can pass it on. And
Okay.
then maybe we resolve to agree at that time.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Back to the council.
Well, basically, we can just vote on this, or we can make a motion for this, because we're not restricting anything, so. Do you
Yeah,
have-
it's on city property.
Right. So this is, do we do the resolution number, or do we have to just terminate the parking agreement?
There's a resolution, yeah.
Okay.
And just, I want to just emphasize too, there's 12 other agreements, the same as this, that we'll be bringing forward. The impetus of this is, the hotel as their development had this on their title report, and city owned it and transferred to them with this on their title report.
Okay.
So you're looking for motion?
Yeah, I'm looking for a
Well,
motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve a resolution number 2224 to terminate the parking agreement.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Klink,
Aye.
Councilmember Mintz,
Aye.
Councilmember Buildering,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Wright,
Aye.
Mayor Ogilvy.
Aye.
Approved 5-0.
Okay. All right. So next is future council initiated items. Are there any council members wanting to add an item to future agenda items?
Yeah, I just have a question. Are you gonna be bringing back the, VHR class?
So staff is, so I'll get back with the council to kind of let them know what staff is kind of working towards, as the council's probably heard kind of complaints as it relates to it. So the policy required education, so staff is deploying that, and I'm modifying it, to try to make it work, based on the manager's discretion. The council can take that up if you want to eliminate that education portion of it. But if it's just kind of complaints, how it's kind of deployed, you know, staff can, and I can deploy it in an appropriate manner. So it depends on what,
No, that's good.
deploying it
with
in a better manner.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll double back with council on some different strategies I have with deploying it.
me. Okay. And I got a plan I came up with for those roads. I'm gonna talk to you about it afterwards.
Dirt roads?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's one thing, just so the council's aware. So the future agenda items does have dirt roads on it. It didn't display on this agenda, but it is out there. So future item for dirt roads.
I don't have anything to add, but I would like to take off voting for mayor as opposed to current selection process. I think we as council members know how the process goes. I don't think we'll have any ill effect whatsoever with the way the election goes.
Yeah, so just for clarification, and if that's the will of the council, but I think the discussion, as manager heard it, was, you know, with districts, it's a little different because before it was whoever got the most votes, let's say, in this group here, was the pecking order for mayor. But now you're individual, and so the cumulative vote isn't there anymore. And we could still do it that way. So I think that was the context of the discussion.
But we don't have to vote that way by how many votes they get.
Well, that would be a policy change.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's why it's on here, because I think we have policy direction, at least from staff, to the most votes. So if you want to change that, I think it's appropriate to have it there, to have that discussion.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think it needs to stay on. Okay,
Okay.
anyone else?
It's just gotta be done before
Okay.
the voting.
Public comments. This is the time for the public to address the city council on issues within the jurisdiction of the city council that are not on this agenda. All comments are to be directed to the city council and shall not consist of any personal attacks. Members of the public are expected to maintain a professional, courteous decorum during the comments. There is a time limitation of 3 minutes per person, and if you haven't done so already, please fill out your name, address slip, and give it to the city clerk. The city council is prohibited by state law from taking action or discussing items not included on the printed agenda. Public comments are on specific agenda items will be deferred until consideration of the item on the agenda. And, let's see. Okay, I have 3 here. Let's see. Mary Jane Bingy? Okay. Bingley, okay.
Good evening. My name's Mary Jane Bingy, 6528 Hillside Avenue. Just to say, I have 4 generations of kids in 29 Palms schools. I started it, and now I have my great-grandkids here.
Wonderful.
Good evening. I am requesting the arrangement with Desert Beacon to be put on a future agenda. Reasons being, several of us were not notified in July and were out of town for the August meeting. I believe this important item should have been published more than once. Why would you have VHR owners who have never had a complaint filed, who have been in the industry for more than 2 years, and are superhost, have to take this class? Perhaps this would work well for the new VHR owners or those that have had complaints filed or in violation of city rules. What are Desert Beacon's accreditations to teach this class? Again, I am asking that the education requirement be readdressed at a future agenda meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, Madam Mayor, just, and maybe to go to Councilmember Wright's earlier comment, so I could figure out a way to deploy it in a better means, but I don't have a means of exempting people for not taking the test, right? So the new ordinance calls for education for new application and renewals. So I'll figure out how to deploy it in a better way. But I don't have a means of not, to the speaker's comment of exempting people, if you will, I don't have a means to do that. So if you want to take that up, to amend the policy, okay, so future agenda item for that, okay.
Okay, thank you. Vino?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
My name is Vino Nathraj. I'm from 718-2929 Palms Highway. I have in my hands the septic sewer plans for the sewer for the Freedom Plaza. That's of public information, which is filed with the city. The manner in which the sewer treatment plant for the Freedom Plaza was presented in this room led me and many others that I talked to believe that the sewer treatment plant would be installed from day one of the Freedom Plaza opening, which was not the case. Only to find out that the 19 businesses that presently dump their sewer waste does not justify a sewer treatment plant at the Freedom Plaza. But when the hotel is built, yes, it will require a sewer treatment plant. Then my question is, why is the city using the taxpayers' dollars to fund a private enterprise and burden 19 small businesses? Why don't the hotel operator install the sewer treatment plant? This is not my first rodeo show with the sewer treatment plants, septic system, black or gray water separation. I would like the City Council to revisit the funding of the sewer treatment plant that's of total benefit to the hotel developer, since this cannot be taken as a municipality infrastructure. It is the sole purpose for the benefit of the hotel. I also requested the soils engineer's report, and I have not even received it. Staff does a great job getting grants. Let's invest that money wisely on the much needed sidewalks between the Freedom Plaza and the west side of our city that will save lives. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Madam Mayor, members of council, just so the council is aware, so we got an EDA grant, Economic Development Agency grant. It was actually COVID money that came through the EDA for the specific benefit of a treatment plant. So the businesses, nor the hotel, nor any of the businesses down there paid for the treatment plant. What they do pay, they all pay, is the operational side of it. So just like your water bill, your telephone bill, et cetera. But the capital side of it is paid by the EDA grant.
All righty. Heather Vincent?
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
You're welcome.
The role of government is service. I have been trying to set up a meeting with all of you since May to explain short-term rental scenarios that are not business-focused so that you can have a clear, comprehensive understanding of an extremely complex situation. It's September. Why has it taken more than 4 months to book time with you? I am also concerned because several changes affecting VHR permit owners were not discussed in what I consider out in the open. We've had many discussions about changes in VHR regulation over the past months, but several decisions I don't feel were open. I didn't hear them discussed in this space. It doesn't appeal straightforward because we have a very diverse group of vacation home rental owners, and not all of us are in it for the money. Additionally, how would you feel if your taxes were increased 300% with no opportunity to voice your concern? Yet that's what you did when you increased the registration fees. And you did it for me personally without 30 days notice. I'm particularly concerned with the new course requirement First, I have been VHRing for more than a decade, first in LA and then out here. Longer than most permit holders. I helped co-write the regulations in 2015. I'm VHR number 2. And I'm also a globally recognized expert on the sharing economy, a super host, a long-term VHR holder. What can this course possibly teach me? I should teach it. Launching this requirement with only one provider is a huge red flag. It appears sneaky and deceitful, not to mention un-American, anti-competitive, monopolistic. Government agencies I've worked with are careful not to select or endorse a private company. Where is the free market here? Additionally, where is the curriculum? Who decided on it? Was there an approval process, and who would teach it? One of my day jobs, I have two, is as the executive director and president of a technology nonprofit that creates vendor-neutral learning material. We go to great efforts to create vendor-neutral material that is not biased. We have a clear curriculum. Our materials go through a robust peer review process and must be approved by both a committee and my board. I really suggest that you shelve this requirement until there is a vendor-neutral offering you can activate, or you can activate the free market to create competitive offerings. And I look forward to meeting with you to explain short-term rental scenarios that are not primarily financially motivated and business-focused. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Any other, did you fill out a form?
My name is Leslie, 29 Palms. I'm actually commenting on something that will probably interest you after you explain what you're starting with traffic. I believe we're putting a median in between Stater Brothers and the new market across the street. So I don't know if anyone's been aware of this, but that is, I'm trying to get used to going up into the intersection, and that currently allows for a left-hand turn and a U-turn. The problem with that is the side street of Ensalia, its front painted white line is too far forward. You can't possibly safely make that U-turn. So I thought maybe we should kind of get that together before we get our median into the middle of the street. And that's all for tonight. To be continued.
Okay. All right, now it's time for the city manager update.
Well, thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the council. The first item, just to kind of piggyback off of that, to the medium island. So Caltrans is a state highway. So there's an encroachment permit that they will ensure safety, and I'm not sure the details of it because we haven't got it approved yet from them. But as mentioned, as the speaker mentioned, those items will be addressed by Caltrans. It's their state highway. They'll approve it. It's our money who build it, but they approve everything that goes onto that state highway. The educational side of it, as far as the VHR, staff will be looking at this very closely to have it be more broad, more open. I've also kind of looked at Copper Mountain College to be able to deploy this. Probably, I think as it relates to the policy, we were trying to deploy it a little sooner than probably we should have. So I take personal responsibility for that. But we'll look to figure out how to make it better and deploy it. But also depending on how council, your policy goes. Any policy is fluid, so try to get that in front of you sooner rather than later. So, because if you do reduce or eliminate it, it'll make the deployment of that education a little easier if it is, a lot of it is reduced. That's really all I have for this evening. I'm going to be short, as I know always is mentioned. And I know I sent the council that email earlier this month, or this week, I think it was. But just so the council is aware, it's an election where Mayor Ogilvy, Councilmember Mintz, and Councilmember Wright are on the ballot. Councilmember Mintz and Councilmember Wright do not have any challengers. There was a short time frame window to be able to elect for the council to say you do not want to be on the ballot, so it would just not appear at all. The window was so short, and the reason was the county register of voters has to print the documents. So unfortunately, we couldn't get that in front of the council. So the ballot is mailed. When it gets mailed to you, we'll have Councilmember Wright, Councilmember Mintz there, no opposition, but nonetheless, it'll be on that ballot.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Before I close the meeting, I forgot that I need to tell my husband happy anniversary. We will be married for 41 years on September 21st. So happy anniversary.
Somebody died? Oh.